Hi guys. I'm just eating Chick-fil-A. I've not done anything to get ready for the day yet though, except for eating Chick-fil-A. Boring stuff, in a way. Not everything's boring, but I had to leave a voicemail at the doctor's office because I was supposed to have an MRI scheduled, but the insurance decided they want to wait 6 weeks to decide if they're going to approve the MRI instead of, even though I had it scheduled for September 2nd and it's August 25th or whatever. So crazy because I don't know. They want me to do 6 weeks of physical therapy before they decide if they want to approve it. I don't know, I feel like my life is on pause for the insurance company to decide if it's even real that I have back pain at all based on physical therapy. Again, they've just never met me, so I don't really get it, but well, it's fine, but we'll see. I think it's fine. I don't know. I think, even on my YouTube channel, I have proof enough. That's not what they use. They use, did you do 6 weeks of physical therapy? They don't use, did your mom know that you had all of these issues your entire life, but she never did anything? Or your dad knew for XYZ number of years that you had all these issues and they never did anything. They don't use that. They use, well, they didn't sign you up sooner. Because everybody on the planet has parents who do exactly what they're supposed to do all the time. So of course, they wouldn't need to make up for that. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. The truth is just they were like, back pain always heals itself. The doctor is evil. Back pain always heals itself. You're faking it. When it just wasn't fake. So, yes, they knew for XYZ number of years, extreme number, I guess, okay? They were like, that's not the most important thing in the world. Deal with it. They were like, well, then pretend it's not happening. As if that's how it works. So I don't know if they have some spiritual belief that's like not real or something. But, it is what it is. I'm not like, oh, I hate them, they should perish. I don't know, it's okay. But, can the insurance companies understand that, like, why would it be my fault if they decided not to do anything when I was already a child? Or, not like a little child, but like 15, 16, 17. They knew since back then, so, you know. That's long enough that 6 weeks of physical therapy could have been done at that young of an age, you know? Like, it could have happened at that young of an age. Instead of me having to prove it. It is weird for them to not want people to get an MRI. Because that's how they would eliminate the potential of problems with whatever, right? I don't really get it. But whatever, they'll probably just approve it in the future. But I had to leave a voicemail to find out. There's like a $40 or $50 fee for like canceling an appointment or not showing up or not giving them more than 24 hours in advance notice if you're like not going to be there or something, or you want to change it. It's a nice place, so whatever. But what's going on? They didn't tell me if I'm still supposed to show up in the voicemail saying that the MRI will not be happening on the 2nd, on September 2nd. So, oh my god. Trying to take these little like things. There's a part of a pickle in my teeth. Dude. I cannot get it out. My god. I got it out, but so my YouTube videos kind of terrible. I don't know. They're fine, but it's weird for them to want physical therapy to like replace the MRI, to be honest. Till they decide if there's a reason that I need it is pretty extreme to say, I think. Well, I don't know if I need it. I just need a solution. I don't really care if I have the MRI or a solution to the problem. I don't know. I don't know. But it's kind of weird, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The problem is mostly that, like, I've had to quit every single job that I've ever had pretty much because of, like, extreme back pain, like, lower back pain, and, like, just so extreme to that point. So it's not like, oh, I wouldn't want money. If I could be, like, not physically hurt by, like, getting money the entire time, then I would love to have money. Like, that's such a weird question. It's such a weird way of looking at it. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But, like, the insurance company's like, I don't know if you need it. For how many years then? You don't even know. Whatever. And of course, my mom really knew the whole time. Really, really, really knew the whole time. But was the first person to be like, maybe you're making it up. So, I mean, I guess she has the same perspective as the insurance company. I think I'm only covered by the insurance for like a couple more years, which is funny, but okay. Okay. Then I have to get my own, which is hilarious. Because if only I could have used it sooner. If only I could have been not so conditioned to believe that I just made it up. If I'm like in pain or something. My whole life. If only that part could have just not been there. That's kind of crazy to think about. So, that's pretty extreme, in my opinion. Okay. I think that's pretty extreme. I think that's pretty extreme. Whatever. Like, I literally started putting out songs and albums. And part of it was because of how much insecurity about whether or not I would ever have enough money to actually survive I had. Most people don't have so much insecurity about whether or not they are ever going to have enough money to be alive. That they start not only putting out albums, but then every time, honestly, every time something good or bad happened in my life, I announced a new album and started just putting out the album. But then the albums ended up with like 70 songs on them. And it's only been like a year. There's like 50 albums. There's like 50 albums. They're all supposed to have a lot of songs on them. Now I have my friend putting out albums. We don't know yet how many songs, but I have new ideas I have to send her today for her to be putting out albums. Which is good. This is all good. Except the part that caused it was kind of bad. So, yes. It's not like I ever, I guess went to the doctor, like, as, like, a teenager or something, or, I don't know. There's no way my parents, like, cared about that. You know what I mean? I had to wonder if I would ever be able to, like, as somebody who's blind, like, can't really even see, cannot see, like, the timer on the phone or whatever, you know, on the, like, from this far away, like 2 feet away or something. So, 2.5 feet away, okay? Cannot see what time it is on there at all. There's just, like, a little red bar, but I can't even tell you it's a rectangle. It looks like an oval, like a red oval, like, can't tell. Wouldn't know. Wouldn't have a way of finding out without getting way closer. So, the point is, dude, okay. I had to wonder, as like a 16-year-old, am I ever going to, in my entire life, be able to get a new eye prescription? I mean, I think I did one time since then. One time in between, right? Maybe at like 21 or something I got my you know what I'm saying. Eye prescription, whatever. So, okay. So, yeah. You got it. You got it. But I had to wonder at 15, 16, 17, am I ever going to be able to get an eye prescription, a new one, ever in my life in the future? Because if I cannot reliably work, how am I going to have money in my life to do that? How do people do that if they don't have money for it? What do they do? What do people do? Like, it's not gonna cost less than $3, you know what I mean? Like, how am I going to ever have that kind of money? Like, more than $3. Like, how am I ever going to have that kind of money in my life? Ever. Am I sure I'll even be, like, alive to the next point in time when I have to get my new eye prescription? Like, how am I going to have money to, like, figure that out? Like, how am I, you know what I mean? I lost all, like, hope that was gonna happen, to be honest with you, at that point. So I'm pretty much like, well, I guess the rest of my life is what I didn't even expect to have happen, because at that point in time, I was pretty sure that was it. So, I don't know. Yes, grateful to be here, dude. But that doesn't change the fact that, like, those are pretty severe, like, mental trauma when, if it's just a physical thing, you can go find out what it is and take care of it, assuming that your parents care about you and that you're not so conditioned to not even believe yourself by every side of your family, every single person you ever met, right? If you're so conditioned to, like, not believe yourself, then you're not going to have the resources to find out, you're not going to be able to find out, you're not going to be able to convince yourself to find out, you're not going to know what you would have to do to deserve to find out, because people made you feel like you didn't matter so much that you don't even know what you have to do. Like, it's so weird. Part of it is mental, but it's also caused by a physical situation not being taken care of when people knew about it. It's not like I was, like, going to the doctor growing up. It's not like I was, like, getting an eye exam growing up. My parents didn't really care if I could see anything. They were like, so I grew up so differently, because when I look at, like, an analog clock, for example, I still have no idea what it says. Like, I'm like, okay, that's, like, the minute hand, that's the hours, I guess, and then the red one's, like, seconds, but that doesn't mean anything. It just goes in circles. Like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It just goes in circles. Like, you're supposed to be able to find out the exact time based on that? I don't know. I think you are. But it's not like, oh, I'm stupid. It's like, I knew those existed. I knew how they were kind of supposed to work. But, like, I couldn't see anything. Like, I didn't get struck by lightning of not being able to see anything. I was already in, like, 7th grade by the time I had glasses. Okay? I was already in, like, 7th grade. Which is kind of a long time to not really even have common sense. Because you have to be able to, when you're really blind, you know what people tell you, and you understand, like, the stories you're being told, but you cannot reference with, like, what things look like. The stories. So when you don't have to be blind, but you're like, it's hard, right? So I don't know. I think when people are maybe, like, fully blind, they have an imagination that can, like, take over for that. I'm not supposed to be blind. I'm supposed to just have glasses. There's a difference. There's, like, a difference. So I didn't, like, adapt to, like, make sense of it in a different way. I just, like, lost, like, a large chunk of time where I could have been able to use the context of what things looked like for what was happening in my life, or what was, like, what are the stories going on. I had to try to, like, figure it out, but nothing made sense. Everything was, I would understand this if I could see it. I would understand this part of my life if I could see what was, like, happening in the world. If I could see you all the way over there, I might be able to tell which one you are. I might be able to tell which of the people I've met before. You're waving at me. Why? I might be able to tell which of the people I've met before that is if I could see you. It's not like, oh, you're not that recognizable. What if, like, I don't remember. It's like I take off my glasses. Well, I don't remember every object in the room. I would have to have an impossible memory to start doing that. Like, you know, what if you, like, lose your hairbrush? Normally, that's a big enough object people could see it. I could walk around everywhere, pass by it hundreds of times, and have no idea it was even there. Like, that's, like, crazy, I think, you know? It's just weird. It's just weird. So, there was also a weird logic thing going on, right? So, normally when you're in school, you're handed an assignment, and I don't know if everybody feels this way or if it's just because of how my eyesight kind of, like, made me internalize things in a weird way, right? Like, feeling like I wouldn't understand things to the same degree as other people. Because every time that I got something wrong because of eyesight, it was about, it wasn't about not being able to see things, it was about, like, me not being good enough so I didn't know the answer. So maybe everybody felt that way. Maybe people don't feel that way. So maybe there's a lot of reasons, right? So it's like when you have a school assignment, usually you understand, or you feel like you understand the standard of the work you're supposed to turn in, right? You understand the standard of the work you're supposed to turn in. Even if you can't fulfill what you think you have to, essentially, you kind of know about where you are. You're like, well, I'm doing really well or I'm doing really bad, you know? Okay, if you have to write like a 5-page essay for some reason, you know if you're only able to do 1 page. And then you're like, okay, so I'm doing really bad. You know if you turn in a 6th page because you're just that good, right? And then maybe the teacher hates you, but they have to give you an A, right? So you kind of know that in school. You know, okay, I'm being told, or like I have a general idea that if I do all 5 or 6 pages that I'm doing really well. But if I only turn in 1 page, I'm failing. Right? So sort of the opposite happened where like any school assignment, I would never know if there was a part of the assignment that I didn't know was expected of me, but I had no idea what it could possibly be. So I had no idea how to even find out what the assignment was, but it's due tomorrow, like every single day of my life. But like, yeah, the logic part was kind of messed up because I was also a child, so you don't know. Even if you've had past lives, your past life was in that era. So if I'm trying to use whatever happened in the 1800s to find out, like the early 1800s, right? For example, like my recent past life, one of them that I know about, okay? So if I'm trying to be like, well, in 1810, this is what my homework assignment would have been if I found myself in school somehow. Just because that is not going to be the same thing as like, can you know, maybe I never learned how to read an analog clock back then in that lifetime, and maybe that's the problem. But that's not the point. I didn't have to know because I had a lot of money. But that's a completely different reason. That's not something that not having glasses was supposed to teach me in this lifetime to make up for that. Opposite problems. Real problem, what's going on? How many things did I not understand in a way that I could have understood because of just not being able to see the world around me? Yes, in all of my past lives, there were people walking around, so, okay, whatever. Like, everything that, like, I would have recognized from back then, I probably knew about. But everything that's new in the 2000s and onward, I would have had to have glasses or contact lenses in order to be able to fully understand what was happening. Okay? Just because I could use other centuries to try to figure out what's happening, a lot has changed, and that's not fair to expect of anybody. So for what, like 12 years of my life, I just couldn't see anything. Couldn't figure out most of that part because what was going on? What was even going on? It slowed down my mind, like drawing connections between things so much, dude. Oh my god. Like, if only I could have just, like, known for sure what kind of life I was even living. Also, I think when I was born, when I was a baby, I don't know if it's because of, like, where I live or, like, the house or what. I thought I lived in, like, the 1600s, so I was way more confused, but I was a baby, so I had to, like, get older to find out. Nobody, like, I guess nobody told me or something, or I didn't really understand if they did tell me. So, like, I didn't know what era it was, and then it took me a while, and then I couldn't see anything, so I had to, like, find out what that means, like, so slowly. What was going on ever? I mean, I know now, but, like, it was so weird. It was so weird. So weird. Some things could have been different. Some things were weird. I don't know why it would require... Again, I don't know why it would require the insurance. 6 weeks of me doing physical therapy to decide if an MRI is necessary. But I don't know. I just can tell that, like, doing a few stretches every couple of weeks or something. If that were going to solve it, wouldn't that have already solved it? I think so. Because I'm pretty sure I tried all that at some point. But without a physical therapist. So, I don't know. I love you guys. Actually, I'm not done with the video. I thought I was. I don't know. But it's okay. A lot of, well, honestly, I'm not saying it's okay based on my parents, like, just not taking me to take care of some of that stuff. At least some of that could have been figured out sooner in my life. At least I had braces. Even though I hated that, but at least I had braces, so my teeth are, like, not, like, really bad, you know. At least I had, like, some of that. Even though it felt like torture. Maybe it could have been Invisalign or something less painful, but no, I had braces. And then they pulled a bunch of teeth out of my child skeleton to give me braces. I don't know. But at least I had that, so I had something. Because otherwise, at least I would someday be able to feel beautiful or not ugly. And, like, that's pretty good considering I couldn't see anything, considering I was gonna not know how I could ever make money in my life, considering I was gonna have so many issues with that and be in pain a lot with, like, really anytime I was trying to get money, dude, because it sounds so weird. But really though, like, my back was just gonna be, like, really hurting really bad every time I was trying to just get money and, like, at my job, and yeah. Honestly, my mom also didn't have to, like, pressure me to start an OnlyFans, but if I was made to feel like I mean, you could start to see how some of the conditioning and manipulation of me and resources and all kinds of things, psychologically, physically, in so many ways, caused me to be easily pressured to do that also. Because really, it's pretty crazy. In my opinion, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah. Never finding out how to drive a car or owning a car or anything is a sharp contrast from how my brother, who's a little bit younger than me, what had helped to buy a car. Like, he didn't have to, I don't think he had to pay for all of it himself. He didn't have to pay for his own car insurance ever until he already had a job. What's his job? He does like, I forgot what it's called. Oh, he's an engineer. That's what I mean. He already had his internship as an engineer, like fully in the career, by the time he was even considered as somebody who should pay for his own car insurance, which is very different than for me, in my opinion. I probably would have rather died than find out how much car insurance is even going to cost, because there was no way I would ever have been able to figure out how I was going to pay for that, even if I had a car. I would have lost the car, lost the insurance, been in debt. I don't even know. I would have probably broken all my bones trying to figure out how to even pay for car insurance or how to operate the car. I don't know. Like, there was no way I was gonna have that level of like security in my life even compared to him. So, which is really weird to think about. But also my brother has perfect eyesight. So apparently he has like pretty much perfect eyesight or something, definitely compared to the rest of the family. So that helps a lot with intelligence, because you get to kind of build your like association of everything from an early age. You get to start to find out about stuff. From an early age, you get to at least know what the world looks like. That's pretty crazy. That's kind of weird. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, my mom finding a really weird way to decide that I didn't need a high school diploma or whatever. It was really weird. That was probably like a really weird moment. So, well, she decided I was going to be homeschooled halfway through sophomore year for the rest of high school. Seems pretty normal, but she's like, okay, you're going to be unschooled. So it's a different type of homeschool where you get to choose what you do. So, okay, fun. You get to like choose whatever you do for like your classes, but then you have to build up a portfolio and you have to turn that in, and we have to have somebody come to the house to check that you're actually doing your work and you're like doing something for school. And then eventually they just give you a diploma for that. So if that's done the right way, amazing. Even though I self-published 2 poetry books, my mom decided, I guess, not to have whether or not I was doing my work evaluated, though. I guess. She said she did, but I never saw the lady who's supposed to like check every single year. Again, I only saw her one time. So, yeah, so in 3 years, I only saw her one time, so that's probably not, it's probably more of a red flag, you know? But I did self-publish 2 poetry books, so like I did something, and I had a YouTube channel, and I was like baking, and I was doing like makeup art, I was doing all kinds of stuff. So, my mom could have just turned in on my behalf some of the poetry that I did. Okay? She could have turned in some of the poetry I did and said, this is what she did for the rest of high school. And that would have been valid, because they can't tell you what you have to do if you're unschooled. You just have to choose a subject and do it. So, like, really, I could have done, like, 1 math equation and written, like, 3 poems. And that probably would have been up to the standard, especially if I was already baking and doing makeup. That would have been, like, enough to graduate high school. So it was supposed to be a little bit more like there's proof that I actually did graduate high school, which is the part that my mom, I guess, decided not to do. So she was like, don't worry, I have your high school diploma in my email. I just can't send it to you. And I was like, no, you should just send it to me because I want to see if it's like real. She was like, I don't know why you think I would do that to you. Of course it's real. I can't send it to you though. It's buried under like 100,000 emails. I was like, can you just find it and send it to me? She's like, I already did. When? I don't know. But why are you asking me? It sounds like you're judging me a lot right now. Like, okay, narcissist, but you won't ever believe that, apparently. Okay. That was weird, because again, all I really had to do was learn how to like bake a cupcake, bake a croissant, put on mascara. Like, these are like, I already know how to do that. Like, do like one math equation, doesn't really matter what level, write like one poem. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I have thousands, so I think we're good. None of that being like formally recorded necessarily, or at least I don't have proof if it ever was weird because it was an unnecessary flaw that would have been so easy to fix. Just do whatever happened the last time when the lady came to the house and checked that I was working on stuff, and she said I was. I passed, what's that called? Wait, I don't know the order of the high school years. I'm assuming I passed the second to last one because, again, I was already putting on makeup. I think I was like, maybe I had like one lesson to learn to drive or something by that point in time. And like, so passed that year of school, okay? Again, for it to be so easy. And then I don't know what the requirements were or who I'm supposed to call to have come to the house to make sure that I'm actually doing my work. You know what I mean? So like, if it's going to be made easy, but then the way to prove that it happened is so far from me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I felt like, okay, so my mom just wants to make sure that like I'm so far removed from like having options to like have any choices for myself. Dude, it's just so extreme. So yes, like a crazy large portion of my life, I was just so far removed from being able to have any control over that like I just made peace with it, and I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm doing, where I'm at. Like, I don't really like, I'm not like, oh no. But like, was that a choice I made myself? Like, no, not at all, because when people make a choice themselves, they're not pressured to do something, they have other options. Every other possible thing they could do isn't like taken from them. Like, okay. Even to get a restaurant job, I just had to pretend to have a high school diploma. Turns out they don't check if you do. So, you just have to make it look realistic. They're not gonna call the high school. Turns out they don't call the high school, okay? Legally, they could fire you at any point if they feel like it, if they decide to look you up and find out you don't have one. But, which I think maybe adds a little bit of pressure. But, but they don't call the high school, okay? They don't call the high school to make sure you have a high school diploma, okay? Hobby Lobby, Chili's, Biogenetics Laboratory. Examples of different kinds of places that don't call the high school to make sure you have a diploma. Hobby Lobby, just a craft store, a little bit. The Republican Michaels, okay? Chili's, the other Applebee's that nobody cares about, okay? Biogenetics Laboratory, Medical DNA Testing Laboratory. Again, also didn't check, so, which is fine. Every place just trains you how they want you to be trained, and it doesn't really matter if you can do that math equation from 11th grade, because you don't really need that very bad. Unless you're in college, because guess who does check if you ever graduated high school and needs detailed proof? Any form of college, any form of higher education, any form of education above a high school level needs actual proof that you were really there. Very, like, physically go to the high school, get your exact transcript with your exact grades. Prove it. Prove that you did not get an F in any of your classes. Prove you got an A in half of them. You know what I mean? like prove you were there on September 21st. You know what I mean? Like, that's what a college wants. As much proof as possible that you not only were the person who was physically there, but that you got exact grades. So that they can decide your placement, but also not allow you to be there if there's any chance you're lying. So. pretty extreme. Pretty extreme. What could I possibly do? What should I do? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, now the video's done. I love you guys. Goodbye.